Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails and Happy New Year to everyone. This is the first edition of the Weekly Buzz of 2024. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I
Mhm.
don't even understand where the last year went, but as usual, I'm so very excited to be joined by Joe Janitin Palawa from the Morning Chalk Up. Happy New Year, Joe.
Thanks, Dickie. Happy New Year to you.
I am stoked to be able to be back from the holiday and talking about all the latest and greatest headlines from the morning chalk up and all the things that we've got going on in the coming weeks because it is kind of a busy time for all
It
things
it is. I
CrossFit.
was just trying to do math in my head. Do you know how many days there are until the Open?
Oh, it starts in February,
It
March. Is
does.
that right? So that's less than 60 at this point, right?
It is. I don't actually I was not able to math the days, but it is the last week of February.
That's wild. I'm not ready, but also not ready. But before we even
Mhm.
get to how wildly unfit and unprepared I am for the open, can we talk about, I feel like, sort of what's on everyone's minds? The year turns over. It's kind of cold and gloomy where I am in the Northeast, but
Same here.
yeah, this, you know it too. Both of our minds are sort of focused on sunny, beautiful Miami, where
Mhm.
Wodapalooza is
Mhm.
coming up. And so let's talk a little bit about Tier Wodapalooza and the competition and what the plan is moving forward, because that is truly right around the corner.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Well, let's talk first about the schedule
Okay.
for the event. So the schedule's the same on the for the elite divisions as it was last year. And so
Mhm.
what I mean is that the elite individuals will compete on Thursday and Friday, and the team competition will take place over the weekend. But also remember, there are athletes that will be competing both as individuals and on teams, two of whom already listed on a very abbreviated leaderboard roster that we're going to talk about later are Pat Vellner and Travis Mayer, though.
Fun.
So already a couple who are going to opt to compete all 4 days. But again, individual first two, team second 2 days in Miami.
Now, I gotta tell you, so 2 things. First of all, this format that they do, the three-person teams and the allowing the individuals to do both is part of why I absolutely love watching Wodapalooza. It's
Yeah.
so fun. It's so unique. You always see, like, matchups of teams of 3 that you wouldn't really expect, and that makes it really interesting. But also, I will say, last year when I was doing the sideline reporting and I was able to catch up with a bunch of the athletes and their coaches,
Hmm.
I remember a number of them telling me ahead of time, like, "Yeah, we didn't think like, we thought it was like a 2-day comp and then a 2-day comp, and that's just 4 days of competition, like, that's not that much." But I remember them being like, "Damn, I am banged up, or I am tired, or I am sore in ways I didn't think I would be
Hmm.
sore
Hmm.
from double dipping, from doing both the individual and the team." So I wonder how many people sort of like, quote unquote, learned their lesson from last year
Hmm.
just based
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
the
Sure.
programming and the
Yeah.
volume
Sure.
or whatever,
Sure.
or how many people are like, "Eh, it was fun, who cares?" You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I love the logic, and you hear this with, things like Fit Fest that just happened last month in the UK. Like, "Oh, well, it's an exhibition," or, "It's the off season, it's kind of fun." Like, darn well that as soon as 3, 2, 1, go hits, it doesn't matter if it's a casual Saturday morning partner workout or whatever. When you're talking about the elite level competitors, 3, 2, 1, go, they're on the same floor, they're competing. They're
Yeah,
competing,
yeah.
right?
No, you're right. You're totally
Um,
right. They don't know how to let off the gas, which is
yeah.
why we love watching them so much, but yeah, I just it when you look at it when you're like, "Oh, they compete at the games for, like, 6 days in a row. This is gonna be so easy."
Mhm.
But then when you think about, the specific programming or the volume, or maybe they're not used to open water swimming and that really, like, wipes
Yeah,
them out, like, there's just a lot going on that makes Wodapalooza
yeah.
really unique that these athletes are gonna have to take into account. So think about that. When you're watching your favorite athletes on day 4 of competition and they've already gone through everything, remember that they might be hurt and they're out there for our viewing pleasure. I guess I'll just say that.
Well, let's talk briefly about what you and I are gonna be doing while we're there, because there've been some announcements over the holidays.
Yeah, I'm so very excited to be helping out the Morning Chalk Up team down in Miami, helping with the video coverage, kind of chatting with athletes, chatting with coaches, giving daily recaps. I think that's the best when you're unable to
Mhm.
watch the full live stream, but you still really want to know and you want to see some cool clips and you want to hear from your favorite people. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of going to be our goal, I think, together is figuring out how to best get the stories in really short, easy ways to digest them if you're not able to sit and watch it all weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I think we're super excited too to have you leading the video coverage of the event for us and getting our YouTube channel back sort of. We're gonna be making some more announcements about that in the coming,
Ooh,
weeks here. I think we've got a big 2024. I can't really say a whole lot just yet, but I'm super excited about what hopefully we're gonna be able to do on YouTube and both live events and other coverage as well. So,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
good for
super
you
excited.
guys. Ooh, I can't wait. Also worth mentioning, there's going to be a whole morning chuck up team, and there will be lots of additional coverage that is going to be in the newsletter. And so, if you guys aren't already getting that in your inbox every day, first of all, are you living under a rock? And second of all, definitely sign up for that because you won't want to miss any of the extreme detail that these folks will be
Mhm.
able to go into. Really talented writers, photographers, editors, like wonderful people on staff who are going to be doing everything they can to highlight all the awesome stories throughout the entire community, not just the elites. There's going to be a lot going on down in
Yeah.
Wodapalooza
Yeah.
outside of just the elite competition.
Yeah,
So
well,
it'll be great.
thanks for saying that. We will publish all weekend, so there will be newsletters all weekend that weekend, as well as all the video content that we're gonna be pumping out. So let's talk about the athletes who are gonna be there that we know so far.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a small roster so far, but they're releasing new athletes, new teams a couple of times a week. On the men's side, we have already talked about Ricky Garard's incredible offseason schedule. Here he is again competing as an individual. Guy Majeros, Nick Matthews, Pat Vellner, Travis Mayer, Brent Fikowski, and Roman Krennikov. Those are all the male athletes who are confirmed to be competing on the men's side as individual.
Joe, I didn't hear you say Jeff Adler, did I?
Nope, you did not.
I wonder if he's gonna be a late announcement or if
Hmm.
he's
On the women's side right now, we've got Ariel Lowen, Danny Spiegel, Sydney Wells, Emily Rolfe, and Olivia Kerstetter.
ooh,
Those
fun.
are the 5 that have been announced by Tier Wodapalooza. However, both Ellie Turner and Alex Gazan have mentioned that they intend to compete on social media and perhaps I think in the team division and as individuals potentially. But those are a couple others that we have heard. So that's all we know for individuals. Teams, we've got a few teams, including one that was just announced today. We've got the Hombres running it back. Noah Olson, Chandler Smith, Tola Marquinho. Joining them, the Golden Oldies, Pat Vellner, Travis Mayer, and Will Morad teaming up. And then 2 branded teams, Team Go Wad with Justin Medeiros, Willie George, and Jay Crouch.
Okay, that is an
International
unlikely
team.
trio right there.
And then Team Ice Barrel, Brooke Wells, Paige Powers, and Bailey Rail. So 2
Mm,
training partners and Brooke Wells.
cool. Well, that'll be very interesting. I'm excited to see Justin Medeiros back out on the competition
Yeah.
floor. Been
Yeah.
sort of conspicuously absent from the last few competitions, people wondering where he's at in his season, so
Mhm.
that'll be fun. And in a way that, watching him in a way that is sort of like lower stakes, quote unquote, when you're on
Yeah.
a team,
Mhm.
seeing
Mhm.
what he can do will be really cool.
Wodapalooza's also been announcing some workouts. The one that
Mhm.
raised some eyebrows involves a 5K trail run off-site. It's part of an event called Bike Race, which also includes everybody's favorite calories on an Echo bike to go
Oh
with your
god.
5K
Oh,
trail run.
ugh. Cardio
Um,
is cardio.
and about, I believe, five workouts on both the individual and team schedules have been announced so far.
Cool. Cool. Well, it is always really exciting for me when an event gets unique with what it offers in terms of programming based off of where they are and what they
Mhm,
can do. And so, we always see an open water swim or some kind of swim happening, and
mhm.
that really makes Wodapalooza special. So I'm excited to see what they can offer in terms of like location for this run
Yeah,
or
for
what that's
sure.
going to look like and what they partner it with or how
Yeah.
soon or far from the swim it is. Like whatever it may be, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, all the other divisions throwing down, as well as the vendor village and spectator experience, the gauntlet, everything.
Mm.
It's gonna be fun down there, and you and I will get, I think, one more chance to talk about it before the event starts, and then I think we're gonna try to talk about it during the event too, right?
Heck yeah!
Alright.
Kettlebells and cocktails and morning chalk up weekly buzz live from Wodapalooza. If you're going to be there at the event, come find us at the podcast stage. That will be
Yeah,
fun. That
yeah.
will be really fun.
Perfect. Alright. So let's move on.
Okay, what else in the competition sphere do we need to be chatting
Yeah,
about?
so let's talk about this news story just dropped yesterday. I believe the barbell spin was the first to make a public note about an email that went out to legends, competitors, podium athletes from the Legends Championship that just took place last month. And the email said that they would love to pay out significant prize money every year. Unfortunately, they will not be able to provide any for 2023. So, not what you would ideally want to hear as a podium athlete. And so there have been some reactions, some discussion surrounding this. We reached out also to the organizers of the Legends. That's Joe Linton and Bob Jennings, and they've responded. We've got a story coming out tomorrow. So this is hot off the presses. It's not even off
Scoop.
the presses yet. But the story is called Legends Championship Organizers Explain Payout.
Mhm.
So they broke it down for us. So, but let's talk about it overall, and then we can get into the details here.
Okay,
So
so first
have you heard about this?
yeah, I did hear about it, and first I think it makes sense just to, like, really clarify what's going on here because recently people have been hearing about the Legends competition in the context of this is going to be the Masters competition for the CrossFit Games next year, and I think it's really important first and foremost to say that we're talking about the 2023 competition that just happened, that just wrapped up, where people just recently made the podium and got
Yes.
their rankings. So this is not necessarily indicative of what's happening next year when the CrossFit Games are involved and when this is the official sort of like end of the line for all things Masters and CrossFit Games.
Yes.
That's number 1. So
Yes.
that confusion I think was kind of tough for people to understand because they were like, "What do you mean? This is
Mhm.
like the games now. What do you mean they're not going to pay out?" And then
Yeah.
the second thing I think is important to say out loud is that these athletes were not necessarily told ahead of time that there would be a prize purse that is
Yes.
now being taken away.
Yes.
So they were never that is not to say that they didn't think that there was going to be some kind of
Mhm.
monetary prize because that's kind of a fair assumption these days when you
Mhm.
have a big time competition that has some sort of press around it, publicity around it, and people are talking about it, it's kind of fair to assume there's going to be some sort of monetary prize for the podium or
Mhm.
for the top 5 or top 10, whatever it may be. But it is important to know and understand that these athletes were
Yeah.
not told ahead of time, hey, first place takes home 5 grand or something like that. And now that's
Mhm.
not happening. So this is kind of just like a follow up.
Yeah.
Thanks for competing with us. I'm really sorry we can't pay you kind of email that went out
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I think that's a good summarization of some of the key issues here. It was not There was not a prize purse announced before the competition, and yeah, so it wasn't that it's not that kind of a situation. There has been in years past at the Legends Championship a prize payout for podium athletes, both in terms of a cash prize and vendor bags and get, freebies and things like that.
Sure.
But again, this has never been part of the draw for the competition itself. Jason Grubb, who competed this year, who's a multi-time games champion, he won the 45 to 49 division. We talked with him. He said that his feelings are a bit mixed, that it's not ideal, but he also said it's not the heart and soul, his words, not the heart and soul of why we compete. We're driven by our
Mhm.
passion for the sport. the challenge it presents and the amazing community that it builds. So that's what he was saying.
I love that he said that. I also very much, like, respect people who don't share that, sentiment because
Mhm.
they had to pay their own way, because this is very much a
Sure.
sport where you have to fund all your own shit, so to
Yeah, yeah.
speak. And so I totally see it from both ways. Like, I love and understand when people are like, "I do this for the community. I do this
Mhm.
for the clout of winning. I do it for what insert whatever reason works for them." That's great, but I also feel like money talks. I'm just being realistic, and if
Yeah,
you
for
gotta
sure.
buy a new pair of lifters for the event, you at least want that covered, or, like,
Yeah,
traveling yourself there, or, traveling your friends or family to
yeah,
watch you.
for
It
sure.
it is it qu definitely adds up. So, it's
Yeah,
a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but I am really glad to fully understand that it's not like something was promised and then taken
yeah,
away, because that would feel extra shady, and
yeah,
I don't like that
yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, and in our conversation with Jason Grubb, he also reiterated that the Legends Championship, he said that it has consistently, these are his words again, consistently provided an unparalleled experience.
Mm,
It's one of the premier competitions for masters, and he is really happy about the partnership for CrossFit with the 2024 Masters CrossFit Games. So, clearly this is not something where there's a lot of bad blood kind of developing, but optically not the best look for
yeah,
anyone. But, I think it's a tough economy to be an event organizer. I think
yeah.
that all event organizers really struggle to eke out profitability in CrossFit events.
True, which is why I'm really eager to see how things will change next year
Mhm.
for all of the events involved, for the masters, for the teens, for the adaptive divisions, and what additional types of resources CrossFit will help put into these events in order to really round out the experience for the athletes and for the
Yeah,
spectators. That sort of remains to be seen, but I have high hopes.
yeah. And one
Um,
thing that is, I think, just now really becoming clear to everyone is that the Legends is still going to hold the Legends Championship next year, and it's going to hold the CrossFit Masters Games, the Masters CrossFit Games by Legends. So it's actually 2 separate competitions. One that is going to, be funded through CrossFit, and the other, which is the event that has just occurred at the end of this past calendar year.
oh, that's
Uh,
really interesting.
Yeah,
So
so
there'll
2
be
different 2 different revenue streams, 2 different expense models for 2 different events.
and two different ways to get there. One will obviously be through open quarterfinals,
Well,
etc.
and then the other one is completely a separate event that's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yep.
Oof. All right. The season will be big, Joe. It will be every year it changes, and this year it will be not without its complications. So we'll
Yeah.
figure it out as all the details emerge.
Well, that's kind of the news for right now. On the community side, things have been quiet. We did just announce our affiliate of the month, which is Great Oak CrossFit in Ohio, and some other cool stuff going on with folks developing ways for us to use health savings accounts and things like that, but we'll continue to dig into those in future discussions.
Awesome. Joe, thank you so much for meeting with me, for bringing us all the latest, greatest headlines from the morning chalk up. That has been the weekly buzz. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will chat with you guys soon.
Thanks, Nikki.